Welcome learners. This is our session on media policy. We all understand how prolific a role media plays in any democracy and in any vibrant society. And in such kind of a society, the more important the role of media, the better it gets. So here in this session, we will tell you what are the objectives, why should we have a strong media policy, and how does it impact the society positively. First, let us understand what is the meaning of policy. The literal meaning of the word policy, as stated by Webster's New Universal Unabridged Dictionary, is a definite course of action adopted for the sake of expediency, for the sake of facility, or a document embodying a contract. A policy basically denotes, amongst other things, the elements, the guidelines for action, and may take the form of either a declaration of goals and objectives, or it can take the form of a declaration of courses of action, or it may be a declaration on societal values. So that is what we mean by policy. The basic role of media in a society is to inform, to educate, to entertain, to persuade, and of course to act as a watchdog. The reason why I am speaking about the role of media in the society is because you've just followed about what a policy is. So when we know how important a policy is, we should also know what is the role of media so that we are able to ascertain what are the various aspects, what are the various areas in which media needs to play a role. And so policy formulation will take place in those areas. When we say to inform, media keeps us informed about various happening globally. It gives us information on various other things that we would need to know apart from the latest. It also helps in educating because it brings to light what are the various things that must be entertained, that must be kept into consideration when we're talking of the large masses. Also, a very important factor is entertainment. So the role of media is also there in entertainment because it entertains, it provides us with some kind of escape. Then the role of media is to persuade. We know a lot of persuasive communication exists whenever we talk about marketing, whenever we talk about advertising, public relations, integrated marketing communications. It is the persuasive role of media which comes into picture. So looking at this holistically, we all understand how important the role of media gets, because these are the various functions which totally combine the various aspects of a society. And this is how people in a community behave. So basically, media in a society is also a watchdog. It tells you from good to bad, it tells you what is the right thing in society which is happening and what is the bad policy formulation which has taken place. So when we talk about media as well as policy, we need to understand what media policy means. It is formal as well as an informal strategy because media delves into so many aspects of the society, both formal and informal. So the policy formulation will also take place accordingly. So it can be formal as well as informal strategy that we give to a society to follow, which is for their benefit and for the larger good. Then it is underpinned by specific interests. Media policy always has certain interests which pertain to communication, which pertain to the larger good of the society, which pertains to national interests and the global welfare with which it is underpinned. Thirdly, media policy also stands for values and goals that shape the emergence of mechanisms. Various things take place from time to time. Say for example, of late, children have become very aware of the importance of keeping the environment clean and pollution free. So there are certain values and goals that media helps in propagating that become compulsory when it takes the shape of a policy. And it shapes the emergence of such mechanisms, new phenomena and processes in a society. And of course, media policy is also designed to structure the direction and behavior in a particular media environment. So while we are structuring the direction of movement of a certain society and a certain segment or a nation, we're also directing them in the way they must behave in a particular media environment. Say for example, the times of pandemic. We all know it is important to wear masks, to take care of the hand sanitization, so on and so forth. So the behavior of a society is largely governed by the policy formulations that take place on the government level. And this also helps when you have a proper media policy in place. Now let us talk about communication policy. Sean McBride, in his McBride Commission report of 1980, said that communication policies do not necessarily imply rigid, constrained planning, but it may simply constitute a favorable framework for the coordination of activities by allowing flexibility and a wide choice of approaches to communication strategy. Now, this was a report that came into being when developing nations were trying to find their models of development. So, at such kind of time, it was more pertinent to figure out which is the best way to develop a nation, especially in the third world countries who were largely following the development models of the first world. So, at such time, this important McBride Commission report was formulated and it was given to all developing countries. And it allowed for a flexibility of choice. So, there was greater choice in choosing your approach according to the nature of your society and according to the nature of the country and the kind of development which is required by it. Transnational mass media corporations are creating all-pervasive impact of their operations and contents on the ideals, opinions, thoughts, processes, values and lifestyles of the developing countries and the masses. For constitutional guarantee of freedom of press, the government cannot give any direct influence on private media, be it print or electronic, and in these days, the new media. So consequently, any type of government structured media policy fails to deliver the government directed information. This is because in a democracy, the government does not have the entire media, especially the private segment of the media, in its clutches. And with the proliferation of the new media and the internet, things have become more out of the government control. So people today are more of prosumers. They produce the content as well as they consume the content. So any type of government structured media policy fails in achieving its proper objectives towards which it is directed. Pran Chopra, the former editor of a prominent English daily, The Statesman, had sometimes said that the national media policy should help media fulfill the objective of providing access to information to the largest number of people, preserve their credibility and work as a two-way channel. And the greater focus was on the two-way channel because feedback is important. It is important to understand how your consumers, how your audiences are taking your communication and how well they are responding to it. So hence the two-way channel was focused upon. Now let us look at the objectives of media policies. Media policies should encourage, number one, media pluralism. It is important to navigate and bring across all sorts of opinions from all different kinds of people who exist in a society. So the greater the plurality, the greater the variation in media content. And then universal access is important because in these times, in today's world, those who have information are considered to be more powerful. So the universal access of information is important. Then there has to be cultural enrichment towards which media always drives, because media, as we all know, it helps in creating culture. So when it creates culture, it also enriches it and it also maintains it. Then it helps in developing all languages of the country, since media and the media content is available in various languages that are prevalent all across the nation. So it helps in building up the linguistics of the country. Then it also helps in education and development. Education, as we all know, is one of the basic and the major areas that media delves into. Also, development is a sector in which media plays an active role. So, media policies by all means are meant to influence the education system of a society as well as to bring about the all-round development of a country. Media policies also encourage the promotion of human rights. Human rights have become a big issue today. We all understand the relevance of human rights, why they must be encouraged, and why it is pertinent and important for every section of the population to be able to access their own human rights. And media stands a class apart. It helps in promotion of those human rights in a beautiful manner. Then it also inculcates accountability. In any democracy or otherwise, it is very important to fix the responsibility. It is very important that somebody be accountable for all kinds of developments that are taking place in a society. So media helps in inculcating that accountability by means of its media policies. So those are the various objectives of why we need media policies in the country. Government of India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting appointed a sectoral innovative council. Now, this sectoral innovative council has suggested that a primary objective of the media policies should be promoting, preserving and protecting India as a free, independent, sovereign, democratic, dynamic and a progressive nation. Ideally, these are also the values of our constitution with which any progressive democracy will prosper. Mass media will have to fully support the nation's aspirations freely, fully and creatively at community level, at regional level, at national as well as international level, so that they can be able to express themselves, they are able to exchange, disseminate information, knowledge, experiences and ideas for building India as a prosperous, just, equitable and secular nation. So encouraging the setting up, managing and supporting such operations, institutions for achieving this objective is important. All media outfits, irrespective of their ownership, generally abide by some journalistic standards, some rules and codes of conduct, some norms which are laid down by the Central Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and other national journalists and media ethics and standards bodies, such as the Press Council. Now, this is an old council which has been prevalent in India and has been guiding the press in India from time to time. The Electronic Media Advisories Councils largely applies to television. Advertising Standards Council. This is about advertisements and where they must draw a line while they're communicating to the audiences in order to persuade them to make a certain kind of decision. Editors Guild of India. This applies to both print as well as electronic media in the country. The National Union of Journalists. This is a union of journalists which basically stands for the rights of journalists, the freedom of writing and the freedom of expression and so on. And the Audit Bureau of Circulation, which is largely responsible for calculating the number of circulation figures for different media houses, particularly the newspapers. The following main objectives of national media policy were proposed by the INB Ministry's subcommittee. Now, what were those things that were proposed? These were not to permit the growth of monopoly in any media. Large number of times it so happens that when there is greater monopoly in the market, those who are more powerful in the market are the ones that dominate the smaller players. Then to project the developmental needs and social, cultural and economic aspirations of people, particularly in the rural areas who constitute bulk of our population. Now, whenever we talk about development, whenever we talk about information haves and information haves not, we talk about those sectors of people who are privileged to have certain kind of facilities. And in the whole thing, the rural belt gets left out. We do understand that there are around 6 lakh villages in the country. For these 6 lakh villages, we need to address their development needs, we need to address their economic and cultural aspirations, and then we need to bring about an overall development of the society. The third is to strengthen, preserve and promote our democratic traditions, culture and values, national integrations and scientific temper. This is again very important for any progressive democracy or country, that we promote our tradition and culture and values while also promoting scientific temper amongst people. Another part of this is to promote and strengthen sense of national integrity, build on secularism, socio-cultural pluralism and linguistic diversities. which is what India has always stood for, and they call it unity in diversity. Another aspect is to facilitate greater access to information, education and entertainment in that order to all sections of the people, for which media is greatly responsible. And the last bit is to enable development in the wake of challenges thrown up by the rapid technology. So this is basically the reason why we need to develop our media policy in a stronger manner. To provide wider choices to the people in matters of information and mass media policies and entertainment. It is important that everybody becomes an information have. So in order that they are able to access information, there should be wider choices for people of different segments of the society. To act as a catalyst for social change, to broadly ensure that discrimination based on gender, religion, caste, language, etc. is not directly or indirectly practiced or promoted, and portrayal of any section of the society is not done in a derogatory manner. So we need to learn to respect all sections of the society so that they can harmoniously coexist in the country. Perhaps the most remarkable characteristics of all these private media organizations is that while they operate and function mainly to earn profits, they do rarely abrogate the nation's general aspirations and generally support people's valid and justified yearnings and aspirations. And democracy helps us promulgate such kind of media all the more. All responsible media organizations in the country have strongly backed common causes such as anti-rape laws, anti-terrorism measures, poverty elevation programs of the union government, and anti-corruption regulations enacted by the central and state governments. Now it is important to look at the divergent views on media policy. So far we studied why media policy is important, what are the objectives of media policy, and how a strong media policy helps in focusing on national overall development of a country. Now let us look at the various views, the schools of thought that exist about media policy. So one is the regulated media policy and another is unregulated media policy. Professor Ben Bedkanian of University of Southern California, US opined that modern democracies need a choice of politics and ideas. And that choice requires access to truly diverse and competing sources of news, literature, entertainment, and popular culture. Regulated media policy in those terms is a society that cherishes free expression and freedom of press, prescribing the regulating mass media content, which would amount to risking conjuring up images of control, while other democratic nations pursue media policies in a deliberate fashion without falling a prey to the big brother. Sweden provides newsprint subsidies that permit the survival of political minority press. Germany places strict limits on the amount of advertising broadcasters which may inflict on the viewers. Under any democratic rule, that would mean government's interference with business and also the notion that the intrusion of the state into the exercise of market forces inevitably leads to the control of finites. This type of control would be more of a regulated media policy. In contrast to this, we have the unregulated media policy. This is the free media play. According to Leo Bogart, on the other hand, this would encourage a variety of channels for expression and discourage concentration of control, ensure that the necessity of freely awarding franchises to use scarce public good like the frequency spectrum does not result in financial exploitation of the public. It also facilitates an extensive and fair exchange of ideas and that protect the society, especially the children, from abuse and subsidized forms of expression that enrich the national culture and intellectual resources, but they are not necessarily viable in the commercial marketplace. Another view in this regard is that of a noted media researcher, Professor Ben Bedkanian of University of Southern California. He again opined that modern democracies need a choice of policies, politics, and ideas, and that choice requires access to truly diverse and competing sources of news, literature, entertainment, and popular culture. As you are all well aware, mass media plays a significant role in the life of the people of any country. The main objectives of a nation's mass media organizations is to inform, educate, and entertain all sections of a nation's people. Mass media are also termed as the fourth estate of a democratic country. The other three pillars being the legislature or the parliament, the executive or the government's administrative machinery, and the judiciary. While the main functions of the legislature or the parliament are to make, enact, legislate, and pass laws, including rules and regulations for the administration and governance of the country, the prime responsibility of the executive is to implement these laws. The main job of the judiciary is to adjudicate the disputed issues and resolving diverse contentious conundrums that may arise between the parties within the government and also among the common people. The most important job of a nation's mass media is to inform the people about its government's day-to-day functioning and how it conducts its administrative business. In addition, the mass media are also charged with the work of educating the people to ensure that the government is performing that job effectively to the satisfaction of the people. Besides, they are also expected to entertain the people seeking leisure through media. The mass media also perform the duty of being the watchdog. The public leaders to warn and alert them in case they happen to deviate from their requisite responsibilities and duties ascribed to them under the rules and regulations, and to be in tune with the constitutional provisions. Keeping in view the important roles that mass media perform in a nation's running, it is pertinent to discuss the policies that govern the media systems and operations. So hence, in this unit, we will examine the various issues related with the mass media policies in India. So while we sum up this unit, you would be able to discuss the meaning, role, and objectives of media policy. You will be able to describe the divergent views on media that are prevalent, and you will be able to outline the media policy scenario in the Indian context.